You've mentioned all those things, but you also have 150,000 followers on TikTok. I saw a bunch of cold plunging videos, breaking the ice, hopping in there. Yep. I've only done it 2 or 3 times, so you're a legend for being able to do it that many times. But why was the cold plunge the main content?
Well, I think it's important to give just a little bit of context.
Okay.
So I graduated high school, and then I came out to Utah to do school for 2 years. Went to Utah Valley University. I worked in the athletics department there. Got an internship taking photos for the athletics teams and for all the sports teams. Free internship for my entire freshman year of college. So I didn't get paid a dime, but fell in love with sports and fell in love with like the business side of marketing. And while I was there, then I stepped into a role where I eventually ran the social media for all the different sports teams. So that was kind of my like professional jump and switch into running content for brands. That was really where my career got going. And so I was running social media for these teams, and then I went over to my first AI startup. I got recruited over to a tech startup. I was employee number 1 of 6, and then after a year, that company ran out of money, and then it was on to the next startup and the next startup, and you know how the story goes. Yeah. But you know, while running the social media side of those actual businesses, as I got into it, I realized like I started with me, and then I helped other people grow. I'm probably at a point where I could like build my own brand now, right? I've worked on bunch of different businesses and industries and have helped other people do it. Like I should probably do it for myself as well. And it was interesting at that same time, that was really when I started to get into like personal development. In August of 2021, I was officially diagnosed with ADHD, anxiety, depression, and OCD. So overnight, like everything just started to connect, and I was like, oh, that makes sense why I do that or why I feel that way. And so I kind of took the years of experience of actually like building brands for other people and realized this would be a really interesting thing to build my own brand around, of personal development, talking about mental health openly, like how do you be more productive? I'm in startups, I'm wanting to make the most of myself, and I was looking online and just couldn't find the right resources that like blended all of those together. And so I started making content on productivity, and then I was documenting things that helped me with learning how to be, I'd say like the best version of myself, right? At risk of sounding cliche. But at the time, I also was documenting things that helped me with like anxiety and ADHD, blending all of that together. So I saw this guy do an ice bath on TikTok, and he was talking about how ice baths helped him with his anxiety. And like I've always heard, you know, athletes use it for their muscle recovery and for, you know, you got to be like an extreme athlete to do a cold plunge. And here this guy was in like, I think it was up on a lake in Wisconsin or something. And I was like, I could probably do that. So I went down to the farm supply store, bought a horse trough for $129, filled it up with water, let it freeze overnight, and I did my first ice bath video. And I just filmed my experience. And it's like a 3-minute long video. I break the ice with my mallet and just document my very first ice bath. And that video did 5 million views overnight. I was at probably 40,000 followers when I posted that on TikTok. And within like 6 months, had jumped up to 70 or 80,000. And then I kind of built this large community around personal development, productivity, and cold plunges, and got up to, I think, 150,000 now. I've done probably 250, 300 million views total, just on the topic of like, how do you build the best version of yourself?
So sweet.
And so that was where it all started. For me, ironically, like it wasn't, I never went to the gym until like 2021. Like I was not a gym goer. I didn't lift. I wasn't into fitness really. Like I lived an active lifestyle, and I played golf, soccer, baseball, basketball, like all the sports growing up, but I never actually got into a routine of going to the gym. And so for me, getting into cold plunging, it wasn't necessarily about like the physical benefits. It was about the mental benefits. It's hard to focus on anything other than the fact that you're freezing cold when you're in a 42 degree ice bath and it's 10 degrees outside. But I really felt like it was the thing that helped me the most with mental clarity and actually being able to like think clearly. Sweet. So there's always a different way to get things done. Like sometimes you'll start on something and think that this is what you're going to get out of it. And in reality, that was like the first domino that had to fall in order for 5 things down the line, this to be the outcome of it. But I mean, from making that video to building this community that eventually led into me running a company, building an ice bath studio, right? And that was the first domino that had to fall in order to get there.
So Cold Plunge Studios is an ice bath place?
I got connected to my business partners in Indiana. I was living here in Utah. At the time, I was running marketing for a group here in Utah called Silicon Slopes. that builds, it's basically like the business ecosystem in Utah. So I was running marketing, got connected to that group, and they invited me to come out and make a TikTok video for the grand opening of the cold plunge business. It's like, yeah, that sounds good. In exchange, they're like, we'll take you to the Indy 500 and we'll take you to VCon, Gary V's conference. They were like back-to-back weekends. So I was like, yeah, sounds great. Went out there, had a great weekend, met my partners, and what I realized was like we actually needed someone to come in and run the business. So I was like, what if I came out and like ran this business with you guys? 8 weeks later, I stepped in as CEO, and then 4 weeks after that, we moved out to Indiana.
Wow.
So,
Sweet.
yeah, it was a pretty quick turnaround. But my wife and I, and honestly, that was probably one of my favorite experiences that I've had in my career, because I saw the jump, I saw the opportunity, and we were like, let's make the most of it. So we moved across the country to a state in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest to run a retail health and wellness business in a place where we knew 3 people. And like, it was the challenge, but it was a really, really good experience. So I no longer manage and operate that day to day. Built that, we got it to profitability. We got to the point where like basically the store could sustain itself, and then I passed it back to my business partners, and they kind of run it day to day. We've got a few other business ventures that we're involved in together, but moved back to Utah about a year ago now. Okay. So